welcome to ABNCB Newspaper Review. Here with me I have the Punch newspaper and I have the Vanguard newspaper for today. And firstly we are going to feature into the Punch newspaper for today. Adeleke gets certificates unveil 500 million victims fund. Governor Ademola Adeleke received certificates of return from INEC. OSUN State Governor Ademola Adeleke on Wednesday received his certificates of return from the Independent National Electoral Commission and announced plans to establish a 500 million election violence victims endowment fund. The certificate was presented to him by the Independent National Electoral Commission National Commissioner representing the Southwest, Professor Kunle Ajayi, at an event attended by political associates of the governor and members of his cabinet. The Punch reports that Adeleke was declared winner of governorship election by the state's returning officers of INEC, Professor Joshua Ogunwanle, on Sunday. Adeleke polled 511,067 votes to defeat the All Progressive Congress candidate Bola Oyebamiji, who scored 444,815 votes. Speaking during the ceremony, Adeleke lauded the roles played by different segments of the state in his victory at the poll. He said, "This certificate does not belong to Ademola Adeleke alone, it belongs to the people of Osun State, our workers, marketsmen, women, youth, traditional and religious leaders, and every citizen who participated in this democratic process." Speaking on those injured and killed in the build-up of the election, the governor said a verification and relief committee to be chaired by the Speaker of the State House of Assembly Adewale Igbedun, who at the level for the children and dependents of those who lost their lives. Meanwhile, conscious wrangles near the people of Atoje of Oshogbo for about 15 minutes on Wednesday, following an attack on the governor's convoy during a visit to the monarch. Osun poll Adeleke gets certificates unveil 500 million victims fund. The full details of these stories inside the Punch newspaper for today. Another story here with me in the Punch newspaper for today. 2027 poll, 571 billion naira campaign spending limit for presidential governor candidates. No fewer than 146 candidates currently in the race for the 2027 presidential and governorship election could collectively spend up to 571 billion naira under the campaign expenditure limits prescribed by the Electoral Act 2026. The figure comprised 19 presidential candidates, each with a campaign spending ceiling of 10 billion naira, and 127 governorship candidates, each allowed to spend a maximum of 3 billion naira under Section 92 of the new Electoral Act. The 19 presidential candidates alone have a combined spending ceiling of 190 billion naira, while the 127 governorship candidates could collectively spend up to 381 billion naira. The combined ceiling for the two categories therefore stands at 571 billion naira, although the amount represents the maximum presidency expenditure and not money guaranteed to or actually received by the candidates. Development schemes as the Independent National Electoral Commission published the personal particulars and credentials of the 19 presidential candidates and their running mates ahead of the 2027 poll. Address their demand for the new outcome. The Minister of Defense, who was represented at the meeting by the Permanent Secretary, Richard Paglumen, assured that the veterans that the government was committed to addressing their welfare, remuneration and pensions concerns. In a statement by the ministry, spokesman Hashmin Okumbike Musa said issues relating to wage and pensions adjustments were receiving urgent action and relevant ministry, pensions and financial authorities be engaged to find a sustainable solution. He said concerns relating to the wage and pension adjustments are receiving urgent attention with relevant ministry, pension and financial authorities being engaged to achieve a fair, sustainable and implementable solution that assure veterans are not unfairly disadvantaged. The minister also appealed to the protesters to remain calm and embrace dialogue, stressing that any adjustments to veterans' assessments must be properly completed, adequately funded, and implemented in line with existing approval of regulation. Musa further assured that veterans that the ministry would continue to engage their representatives and provide updates as progress are made on their demand. The protests had earlier been distributed by the heavy deployment of soldiers and policemen around the Ministry of Defense. Pension and health servicemen suspended protests after Defense Minister's assurance. The full details of this story inside the Punch newspaper for today. And before we go to the second edition, we are like to go for a break. Before we come back to the second edition of this program, the Vanguard newspaper. Let's listen to what we are following us today. We'll be right back for the second edition of this program.
Discover the uniqueness in the entertainment industry. African Broadcasting Network (ABN) is now the pace setter in the industry. Do you want to advertise your product and services? Count on us. We will do it much more than your expectations. African Broadcasting Network (ABN) will deliver quick and prompt services. Our quality and clarity stands us out when it comes to delivering quality broadcasting. Our staffs are hardworking and versatile in the specific field of office. Our environment is so conducive and we are open to all. We also give advice on how to run your business profitably. African Broadcasting Network is situated at
9894 OSUN Street, Suite 875, Houston, Texas 77036.
Contact phone 281-652-8.
On our Facebook, you can like, share, comment, subscribe, and click on ABNTV Houston. Like us on our Twitter, you can also follow us on ABNTV Houston as well. And lastly, on our YouTube, you can also follow us on ABNTV Nigeria as well. And for those of that are also using TikTok, you can also follow us, like, share, comment, subscribe, and click on ABNTV Nigeria as well. And now to the second edition of this program, which is the Vanguard newspaper for today. One kill as the video security details saw clash at Palace following gunshot that erupted during Governor Ademola Adeleke's visit to the Atoja of Osogbo Palace. One person was reportedly killed in Ita Olokun area of Osogbo. The governor had, in the company of his nephew, David Adeleke, popular called Davido, paid a contested visit to the monarch by a clash ensured between the group outside the palace, which resulted in an exchange of gunfights. The governor's security team intervened by shooting sporadically into the air, as well as using tear gas to disperse the daring thugs before the governor's comfort could leave the palace. In a post on X, the Davido wrote it was a fight outside the palace that had nothing to do with us, the people love excellency. Meanwhile, the state police command spokesperson, DSP Abiodun Ojelabi, disclosed that the shooting started after a non-political thug, Adebayo Sahorid, popular called Small Law, was visited by Davido's security details. One kill as Davido security details saw clash at Palace. The full details of this story is inside the Vanguard newspaper for today. Another story here with me in the Vanguard newspaper for today. Gunshots as hoodlums attack Adeleke Comfort in Osogbo. Some hoodlums reportedly engaged in a gun battle with security personnel attached to the convoy of Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke at the palace of Atoja of Osogbo Oba Jimoh Oyetunji on Wednesday. The incident occurred shortly after Adeleke received a certificate of return from the Independent National Electoral Commission and visited the palace to celebrate his victory with the traditional rulers. Sources at the palace disclosed that the hoodlums have allegedly laid a stage of the area on unregistered Toyota Sienna vehicle before the governor arrived. The source further disclosed that some of the hoodlums were engaged in a heated argument before shooting started, adding that the cause of the attraction and the incident targets at the shooting could not immediately be established. A shop owner close to the palace, Laide Mustara, said that a few minutes after the governor and his entourage entered the palace, they started hearing gunshots. Confirming the incident, the Osun State Commissioner for Information and Public Enlightenment, Olapo Alumi, said suspected hoodlums were involved in the shooting It is true that there were gunshots when we are exiting the palace, and the governor's security team had to go and engage them, but the circumstances that led to the shooting in the first place we do not know. Gunshots as hoodlums attack Adeleke Konfo in Osogbo. The full details of this story inside the Vanguard newspaper for today. Another story here with me in the Vanguard newspaper for today, which is the last story here with me. Allocation cannot guarantee prosperity for states, says Oyetola. The Ministers of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Professor Taiwo Oyedele, has said federal allocation alone cannot guarantee prosperity for states, urging them to develop sustainable sources of revenue and drive economic growth. He also said Nigeria recorded estimated savings of 15.8 trillion naira from the removal of fuel subsidy and the liberalization of the foreign exchange market between June 2023 and December 2025, but insisted that the reforms do not leave the federal government with huge pool of cash as widely believed. The minister equally said diversification to strengthen Nigeria's resilience to economic shocks. Nigeria must move from an allocating independent economy to one driven by production, investment, and job creation. He stated that, according to him, recent economic reforms, including the removal of fuel subsidy and the unification of the foreign exchange market, have increased tremendously the revenue available for distribution through the Federation account. He said monthly Federation account allocation, which was between 300 billion naira and 600 billion naira before 2023, now above 2 trillion naira. According to him, of the 15.8 trillion naira realized from the reforms, the federal government received 5.43 trillion naira, while state governments got 6.52 trillion naira, and local government councils 3.38 trillion naira. He disclosed that the federal government generated an additional 20.4 trillion during the period from subsidy saving. Increased revenue and borrowing was spent 30.64 trillion naira on wages, debt services, infrastructural, electricity subsidy, and other obligations. It was shared across the federal, state, and local governments, as well as other statutory beneficiaries, when combined with 3.12 trillion naira in other increments revenues. Allocation cannot guarantee prosperity for states, says Oyedele. The full details of these stories inside the Vanguard newspaper for today. And that's all we have on our newspaper review for today. If you'd like to follow us live and direct on our social media page, on Facebook, and follow on ABNCB OSUN. Like us on Twitter, you can also follow on ABNCB OSUN as well. And on YouTube, you can also follow us, like, share, comment, share, and subscribe on ABNCB Nigeria. And lastly, on our TikTok, you can like, share, comment, and subscribe on ABNCB Nigeria. Thanks for listening and thanks for watching. My name is Kenny Afolabi, and I wish you a prosperous and blessed day ahead. Bye for now.
African Broadcasting Network. African Broadcasting Network. It's all about Africa. It's all about motherland. Celebrating rich cultural heritage. ABN, we bring the best. It's Africa. Broadcasting Network. Broadcasting Network. African Broadcasting Network. Entertainment, education. African Broadcasting Network. Oh yeah. Information, cultural value. African Broadcasting Network. ABN, celebrating Africa's rich cultural heritage.